smiling on camera.
Yeah. Let's do a small little meditation. First hand. Turn this off. So you just want to close your eyes. Find a nice comfortable location. You can feel free to move those around if you want to, Mariana. Okay. Just want to close your eyes and focus inward. I had some my own kind of things. You know, we all go through our stuff during the week and our own little ahas. And I like the group energy because it brings us together and we can share our ahas and our energy, and it helps all of us move forward in different ways. So I'm going to share two of my ahas. I'm going to try to do it in the form of a meditation. Because sometimes when you talk something or you try to share something, it's a little bit hard to get that across to someone else. And ideally, I think what needs to happen for an aha to happen is like your own personal feeling or experience of it. That's why ahas are hard to share with other people. It's like you can have this magical experience and then try to explain it, and then they're like, oh, okay. You know, they kind of get it, but it's just on the intellectual level. So I thought I'd try to blend it in today in a meditative way and put in some feelings around it. So we'll see how it goes. So just quietly, your eyes closed, in a relaxed position, just start focusing on your breathing. Just breathing in and out. Not efforting to change your breathing pattern. Just more or less witnessing what's happening with your breath right now. Is it moving in and out of your body in an easy way, or is it feeling restricted, bound up? Watching your breath coming in and then leaving again. Letting the days, the weeks, mental, emotional issues just float away. And just focusing here in this moment and in this now. Breathing in and breathing out. Full inhalation, exhalation. And now I want you to use your imagination, and you can do this in lots of different ways. I want you to try to make it personal to you. But if you're a therapist, I want you to imagine that you're about to work on someone. If you're not a therapist, it can be something like a family member or some issue. In other words, let's say there's someone coming to you for help. That person can be a client that's going to be on your table or in your chair, or it can be a family member, a friend. Just I want you to imagine that someone's coming to you for help, okay? And imagine that you're about to work on the person that's on the table or talk to the person that's seated in the chair. And I want you to think or feel. The concept, the idea that you have to fix the problem that they're coming to you with. So imagine you're about to talk to this person or work on this person, and in your mind you're feeling like you're having to fix this problem for them. And as you're feeling this, thinking this, just tune into how it makes you feel, what it does to different parts of your body. How does this thought that you have to fix them, what does that do to you?
Makes me feel tense.
And now put that aside. Same scenario. And this time, all I want you to have within your mind and heart a state of being, of caring. You're just going to care for that person that's showing up to be on your table or you're going to talk to. Your focus is just on caring. And now having that as your focus, what does that do to your body, your energy, and your interaction with that person? Just taking note of that, being aware of it. Just trying to give you a personal experience of that. And now that leads into the next thing, the next aha or reasoning that came about through experience. And it ties into this in a direct way. I want you to focus on the concept of love for you. And I want you to think what love is for you. Just within your own mind, define it for yourself. You can say that list inside your head, wherever you want to do. A common one is love is kind, love is generous, things like that. Go through that list in your mind. Try to be as thorough as possible. I'm going to run you through a couple of comparisons here to help possibly expand your understanding and concept of love. For example, a very common belief in love, like I already said, love is kind. And sometimes we will look at people that are unkind and think they're not loving. But I want you to realize that sometimes true love seems unkind. Sometimes love isn't giving, but withholds. Sometimes love is nurturing, and sometimes it is stern. What I'm trying to do is upset those concepts within your mind that tell you what love is or isn't. And for you to possibly expand your heart and your mind to experiencing all the different levels of love that we block out because they don't match what we think it should be. Sometimes withholding something from someone helps them in the long run. Not that it's done out of vengeance or defiance or anything like that. Sometimes withholding comes out of a place of love. Just like a parent might withhold something from a child. It doesn't mean that love isn't present. Now bring your attention to your heart, your chest, and focusing or giving the intent to keep your heart open at all times and to follow its instructions. For example, the heart might tell you in one instance to give generously, in another it might tell you to withhold. But it doesn't mean that you're not coming from love. And vice versa, somebody might withhold from you and it be loving. So try to open the mind to expand, to realize that love cannot really be defined. And to define love is like trying to define God. They're both enigmatic. You can't define them. And if you try to put them in a box, you actually kill them. For the most part, God and love are made in man's image, in man's limitation. And we go around in the name of love, limiting one another, imprisoning one another. But love is a presence, just like God is a presence, in the center of our chest, in our feelings. And it is what's meant to guide us through our life. Our judgments, our perceptions and limitations in mind are what limit that love from coming through, limit it from coming to us, and limit us from being that. In other words, if you cannot be in a situation and be in love with the person or the situation, you have fallen out of love. You have fallen out of your heart. It doesn't mean that you go around and letting people walk over you and doing things that you shouldn't do for yourself. Because like I said, love does not fit any definition. Sometimes love appears unkind. It doesn't mean that it is, though. But what if the world could simply be a place where everybody stayed in love, lived from their heart, let their heart guide their actions? It's our beliefs, restrictions, and limitations that prevent that from happening. So I just want you to take from this little exercise that possibly you have been limiting love by expecting it and thinking it should be a particular way. You've shoved yourself, your own heart, and other people's heart in boxes. And love and God cannot survive in a box. They're like fire. If you put them in a box and take all away all the oxygen, it dies. I think that's part of what's wrong with this world, is we're all going around snuffing each other's fire out by our preconceived notions and expectations. But what if we could all live inside our hearts and let that heart guide us at the moment? Sometimes the heart would say give, sometimes it'll say withhold. But it's not that you do it in vengeance or anything, but you follow your heart in the moment. And what if that was the thing that was supposed to guide us? It's our compass, our compassion. And like I said, it doesn't take away making appropriate actions for yourself, because loving self is just as important as loving others. But you let the love be the guide of the actions, your feelings. And if you ever catch yourself judging someone else or feeling negative about them, try to be aware and come back to your heart and say no to that judgment. And try to stay in love with that person. Even if your actions or your heart is telling you to be stern. Our limited perception has created God in the image of being someone that once we do something wrong, we're sent to hell. But that means that God has a lesser love than we're even possible of having. If God can remain in love with us no matter what, then there's nothing that we can do that would take that love away, right? But yet we go around doing that same thing ourselves, limiting our own hearts, limiting the love we give to others, and what we can accept in. So try to go through this next week, catching yourself when you fall into judgment, anger, and whatever the person, the situation is, try to just see them and love them. Even if your heart is telling you to do an action that could be perceived as unkind or withholding. I want you to lightly tap over the center of your chest, keeping your eyes closed. I choose to stay in love. I choose to live my life from my heart. I choose to catch myself the instant I fall out of love. When I fall out of my own heart. So that I can immediately get myself back in love. Get myself back in my heart. I choose to be in love. To live in love. With the world at large. I choose to live like the masters did. With love in my heart. Every moment. 24/7. And bring light, enlightenment, and love to the world. By embodying it. Each and every moment. In all my relationships. In the situations I find myself in. I choose to be in love. I choose to embody love. Let's relax your hands. See if you don't feel a cool tingling throughout your body. When you're ready, you can just open your eyes. So it came to me this past week as I was working on some people I'm always tapping on stuff, and I really do believe that when we're tapping on something with intent, it clears the energy. So we can tap on something here. Maybe you don't see like a miraculous change, but it starts changing how the person is viewing things and their energy. So a week later, a month later, something has changed in their reality because we've changed the foundation of something. So I'm always tapping on something, or tapping on issues, and as a result, things shift for me and continue to shift. And what came to me recently is I was working on someone, and it just kind of came out of the blue. Like I said, I think it's a result of tapping. It just came out of the blue. Here I was focused on fixing them, which made me, did y'all feel that when you're focusing on the concept of fixing versus caring? And what I realized is what led me to do all what I do, and the effort I do to do the videos, the effort and the expense I do to have these groups, is not from knowing or trying to fix anybody, but from caring. So my realization was that my passion, my center, which is caring, led me to learn more so that I could care more. Does that make sense? But in that process, in developing more knowledge and gathering ways that I could help care for people, is I got caught up in the knowledge of it and lost touch, not completely, but partially, to the caring. So really what's important when you show up to a session, show up in life, is not what you know, as you probably heard before, but it's where your heart is. So are you in a caring space? So if you're trying to fix it, you're actually limiting how much you can fix it, because we get all tight around issues like that. But if you're showing up and you're giving caring to someone, that alone is healing. You know, like in sessions, who has so many people in their life where you can go for an hour and have one-on-one attention and be cared for and attended to? Not much so much give that in our daily life, you know, in general. So that alone is very healing. So what came back to me is it's not all about, because knowing something doesn't necessarily give the power to it. It's where your state is. So like the whole conspiracy thing and negative information, or just information out there being used inappropriately, the knowledge isn't the power, because it's where your state of mind is that accesses and uses that knowledge. All knowledge can be used good or bad. So the knowledge that I share and I give out, is my real intent with that is to help other people, to care for people and help other people be able to help themselves and care for others. But the knowledge isn't the power. It's where your state is while you're doing that. So if I'm trying to fix something, I'm going to be in a tighter state, and I'm going to limit what comes through, as opposed to I'm going to be in the heart, caring for the person. And then what's really interesting, since I've been doing that more and more, I actually find more depth coming in than was before. Because if I was just focusing on what's wrong, or that type of thing, then that's where my focus goes. So it's just a subtle shift, but it changes everything. So to me, what I'm trying to say is it's the state of your heart that dictates the power or the ability what you can do with knowledge. Does that make sense? It's not the knowledge itself. Knowledge itself is useless if you don't have the right state. It's like people...
An example of that would be a teacher and a student. That is it. The student knows that the teacher is saying, okay, I've got 15 minutes, I'm going to teach you this, and it's tightness. But that student cuts off. It's the same with your clients.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to know if you've got this.
Right, exactly. They feel it maybe unconsciously for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's to some degree why my practice, my focus was caring, and I think that's why my practice grew like it did, because I was coming from that space. Of course, along the way, I got caught up in the knowing. And now it's time to come back to the caring part of that, because people sense that. You know, it's different when you go into, you know, I've worked at a chiropractic office where people, I mean, you see a god-awful amount of people, like 40 people in one day, like boom, 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 crack, 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 crack. You know, there was no interaction, the heart is hard to have. And, you know, the focus of, you know, we went to go seminars and stuff, the focus was on the more people you get in, the more money you get. And of course, that's needed. I mean, I have to support myself, but there's a balance with everything. So I'm coming back to the heart and the caring aspect of that, because that's where the true healing happens, or you access it. Like with Wiccan or anything else where you're using incantations or something like that, if you're just saying the words and you're not in the right heart space, it's fucking useless. Seriously. There is no power in words alone. It's the state that you're in. That's why most people,
It's the emotion behind it.
The emotion, exactly. Or the state of your heart dictates the state of your mind. Exactly, Stephen. So if I'm sitting here saying this incantation, if my heart's not in the right place, the magic isn't going to happen. So that's why a lot of magic, you don't see as much magic in the world. Is people read this and go, oh, I'm going to say this, do this. No. The first step is you get into the right heart space. Why are you doing? Are you coming from love? Then you do whatever it is. And then the magic happens. Not the knowledge makes any magic happen. It's useless. It's like taking a book off a shelf and hitting somebody with it. Oh, magic! You know, that didn't. You know, the knowledge in that book didn't do anything except give you a headache. You know, lots of headaches with knowledge. So, I was talking about this earlier. I can't remember if you said it, Deborah, or Bambi said it, but it's like, I'm going to use my interpretation. The binding of a book, let's say it's a Bible, okay? The binding to me is the religion, and it's what the words inside awaken in someone that's the spirituality. So everybody's walking around with gang mentality of like, I'm Christian.